It's February again, and you know what that means. Train fair season, and you know what that means. Reckless spending! Oh, it's been such a long time since I've been to a train fair. Oh, look at that. Oh, the latest layout. Oh, the ScotRail. Oh, there's like a little Glass 47. Oh, the little, bargains. Was that an Oxford Railgun? And, of course, it wouldn't be a train fair without, me picking up a few things, One of the things I actually went for was that I wanted more, like, ordinary items of rolling stock, and especially, like, goods wagons. So I picked up from, all from the same vendor, actually. I picked up a pair of insulated vans. I don't know if these are specifically fish vans or, just any perishable insulated products, also meat and stuff. But I know for a fact that they're not fruit vans because those don't need to be insulated. This one's white, this one's blue, but I've weathered them using a wash and just a rattle can of grey spray paint. Now people always say like, oh, you can't use rattle cans, but if you look at them like this, the effect. Quite fond of that, especially like the specking on the roof. Other than that, I got this. Never owned a salt wagon before. This one was bright green. Well, was bright green. I've done it up with as if the planks have been replaced during the war times and not like painted over yet because my layout's still set in the 1947, I believe. Yeah, 1947 because it's the year that NCB was already operational but the LNER was still around. Yeah, I'm actually quite fond of this. Like, I really like how I managed to make the planking work out. And, especially when compared to, like, several layers of different colour rattle can spray paint. I'm actually quite fond of how the weathering worked out in this one. So yeah, another unfitted piece of goods rolling stock. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a British layout without, an open wagon or two. This one... actually the proudest of the whole bunch because whilst the Colo doesn't fit anymore, I actually just kind of made it and then afterwards decided that maybe it can fit in this wagon. I really like how I managed to do this one because it's the same method, just wash and then spray paint. And I did the same thing with one of the planks here, but I really do like it because this wagon was just almost white and now it's more usual grey and dirty, which I of course do like. And then this one I just like because, well, first of all it's blue, and then the amount of text that's on it. The Boston Deep Sea Fishing and Ice Company Limited, Fleetwood trawler owners, fish merchants, curers, cod liver oil producers and refiners. Yeah, I'm thinking actually about either one of these, that I'm either going to take the collar of that one or I'm going to use this one. I'm going to like do a tarp, with just a piece of cloth and then some thread. I'll see what I'll do about that one. But for the main event, you've seen the thumbnail. I can't believe I found this at the fair, and people who've been following the channel for a bit know that I've been after this specific locomotive for a bit. It is, of course, a Railroad A4 Silver Fox. I've not weathered this one, of course. The only thing I've done to this is I've added the lamps. Bit of styrofoam on there. I've added the lamps. Now, I wanted to give this one lamp irons, but they wouldn't stick on, so in order to disguise the splodge of glue, I just put the lamps on there myself. When we're on the subject of front end, am I the only one that notices that the door on the A4 is not complete? Like, this section of the door is missing. And then the other thing I did to this, of course, something I always try to do, is I fitted a crew. Well, just a driver. This one is actually the driver for my V2 because that one kept falling out. The glue wouldn't really stick. And myself, I then painted some of the controls up because, sometimes they just manage to catch the light. Now, I do really like how I did this. I didn't do it with a brush. I did it with a cocktail stick, which I just dipped in paint the end of it, and then just, bit by bit, I just kind of, stepped my way down, the pipes and then the tap valves and stuff. Now, the best thing about the fact that this is a balanced A4 is the railroad coupling rods and valve gear. They're very thick, and especially the expansion link over here it's attached to just basically a solid block. But because the valance is in the way, you can't see that block, so it looks a lot better. And when this runs along, it really is just like she glides along, and I do love that. Nowadays, of course, if you wanted a Hornby Railroad model that had, you know, the full shading on the lettering, and, you know, something as intricate as the Fox emblem on the side of the boiler, as well as, you know, the stainless steel boiler bands, you'd have to pay extra for a Railroad Plus model. Whilst, you know, they've been doing this for far longer, so, you know, I get that Hornby is in dire financial straits, but come on, man. Now, I bought these from the same stall that I bought the wagons from, and I tested it at the stall with, you know, a knife that I brought, and the seller gave me a funny look. He didn't like that, but I'd rather get 1,000 funny looks than one day not decide to do it, and then come back, you know, with a model that's not working because I didn't test it at the fair, which does happen. So sellers shouldn't be surprised that customers can be wary, you know, of well, I wouldn't call them frauds, but jiggery faffery. Now, it was a train pack, you know, it came in one of these huge, you know, big square Hornby Railroad boxes. The price does say $189, but that's not what I paid for it. I paid $170 for this, which I believe in pounds translates to $140. So for a train pack, that's not bad. But it did come with 3 coaches, you know, these faux LNER Silver Jubilee coaches with you know the train name. Now I added the valances myself, and I'll have a wee feature on that later on. But one thing I don't like is that in order to simulate, I think, the fact that the real Silver Jubilee had articulated coaches, meaning that, you know, there was 2 sets of 2 articulated coaches and 1 free set. But I think Hornby were under the impression that the coaches that were part of one articulated unit had the same carriage number, because both the composite coaches, they have the same number and the G. You know, this is coach G of the train, whilst in real life they had separate numbers per articulated unit, coach unit per articulated per. You know what I mean. Now, because I've already done a feature on the on a Hornby A4, which was a double A4 and not a railroad A4, I do think it's a bit, you know, I have to discuss, you know, do I mind this being a railroad A4? No, otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. But, you know, the differences basically amount to the tender is not permanently fixed, and it has this rather annoying truck at the back, which is because this used to be, you know, a chassis that was shared among multiple Hornby tender locos. But, you know, sometimes with Hornby locos that are between the railroad and the railways range, the wheel spacing is not right because they're based off of Lima locos. But if I just take Union of South Africa over here, you know, it's basically identical. There's no real, you know, thing that would differentiate the two, in, you know, size-wise. They're all in scale, so there's not really anything, you know, where you can easily tell when it's running past, like, that's a railroad model. You know, like I said, the only thing that this thing's really missing from any sort of distance are the lamp irons, but if that really bothers you, then yeah, then you wouldn't be buying railroad anyway. And, you know, a whole train for less than £150, that's quite good. That's quite good no matter what way you spin it. You know, even if I did have to improve the coaches myself. But yeah, when the whole train, you know, is coupled together and running past with the valances, it just looks lovely. Now, I know that my layout is set in 1947. Silver Fox only ran in this condition for, I believe, a few months, you know, with the long buffer shanks and in white. But like I said, because it's a whole train, I can't just run that because I like it. You know, I'm not generally a fan of Rule 1, but for a train like that, for just a whole train, basically, I'm willing to make an exception. Righty then. Let's now get to the running session, because Hornby A4s, or at least railroad A4s, are surprisingly good runners. So I'm going to show you that now. Now, you do have to understand that I have actually already run this, and I did check it at the cellar stall again. So I already know that this runs, and look at that. Even on my crusty Roku controller, that start was quite good. Okay, yeah. And I had to ruin it. See, anywhere where she's just like, trundling along, she might, sometimes suffer a bit of slowdown, but then once up to running speed, she's actually quite fine. So let me just like run her past you at half speed. There. That's quite smart, I think. Right, so let's get this fitted, even if just temporarily, because I should be running behind on a big order of chips. She's been decently fitted now. I've added some of the details, and the coaches have been dolled up, so let's just show you how well this one goes. This one has the chip that was in my older Class 40, because, well, I was kind of getting annoyed that it kept shorting on points, so I'm leaving it as an analog loco for now until I can figure out what's wrong with it, and knowing me, that will take quite a while. Now, if I just dial this one up, just by holding down the button, on the NCE power cap, if I just hold it down, you can see it. That's not bad, is it? I've not done anything about the slowing down CV, but if necessary, it does have a flywheel, so if I can just, okay, fine, a little farther back, then I can just let it run past you on speed step 1. Now, once all the slack's gone from the coupling rods, that's pretty impressive. I have plenty of Hornby Railways loco that can't run like that. Or Bachmann locos for that matter. So, I've done the coaches up, so now let's just have the whole train running. A few laps for you, shall we? And then we can go to the debrief. Now, as I've mentioned, and I've probably already shown off, I've customized my Silver Jubilee carriages. They're not accurate anyway, so I might as well. Originally, they looked a lot like this, with the gubbins on the underside of the carriage still visible. However, if you pull up an image of the actual Silver Jubilee, you'll notice that the train itself has valances between the bogies. Now, in reality, they go, all the way over the bogies, and I've not been able to replicate that, but I did manage to, place these skirts roughly in the middle of the coach frame. Now, how did I do that? Well, if I kind of tilt this one this way, you can see what I used to do it. It's simply a popsicle stick, which I've, with a jigsaw, I did a set angle. This one is the prototype, so it doesn't have the set angle. And then, I, with a sandpaper, I just kind of ground the corners down to, a more smooth curve. And then I, with primer, spray them white. And then with, just a rattle can, I spray paint that grey. And the rattle can is almost exactly the same shade as the great plastic of the coach frame. So that's how I achieved that. So now I can, because this one is actually the board that's supposed to go on there. Now I can spray paint this, and I can let the train run for all the running shots that you've already seen, because I'm recording this first. This is the first bit I'm recording for the video. Having been on the lookout for a model of Silver Fox for quite a while now, I can say I'm glad I found this. Zero complaints from me. Although, quality-wise, it is odd. The DCC socket was fitted back to front, so when I fitted it, the DCC chip correctly, forwards was backwards, so classic Hornby, I guess. The train might not be completely accurate, what with the coaches being Steiner coaches and non-articulated, but if you're willing to put in the work, the Railroad A4s and their trains can look as good as any. Here's hoping Hornby release the silver versions of their LNER articulated coaches, and I don't have to go on second-hand marketplaces to find them just for silly money. I do wonder though whether this train pack was sold to me in its original box. When I look up the product code that's stickered to this box, it leads me to a train pack with Silver Fox and 3 LNER teak coaches. Apparently the actual product code for this pack should be R2278M and not R3174 as the box says. Let me know if you know a bit more about this pack, as it just seems a bit puzzling to me that there be 2 product codes for the same set. Either way, thank you for watching. I always feel like Railroad models need a hype man, and when they don't disappoint, I'll gladly fill that role. I hope we can enjoy them while they last, and I hope to see you the next time we do so. Cheerio! Alright, let's have it then. We're not above a joke here at Flying Scott. I'm sorry, I'm just looking through the viewfinder and it just looks very funny. I'm very mature.